Have you ever heard the chilling tale of the Colosseum, the darkness that lurked beneath its grandeur? The story begins in the heart of ancient Rome, where the mighty gladiator Marcus held sway with his unmatched victories. His success, though, was not without a sinister shadow. This was no ordinary shadow. It was an ethereal presence, a spectre that danced on the edges of Marcus's vision, elusive, vanishing whenever he turned to confront it. The shadow was not merely a figment of his imagination, it was a dark entity that seemed to follow him, an unseen spectre that seemed tethered to his very soul. As Marcus continued his triumphant streak in the Colosseum, this shadow grew bolder, more audacious. In the dead of night it would whisper to him, its voice seeming to seep from the cold stone walls of the gladiators' quarters. It promised him power beyond measure, glory that would make even Rome's emperors envious. All this it offered in exchange for a terrible price. The warnings of his fellow gladiators fell on deaf ears. They saw the change in Marcus, the way his eyes seemed haunted, the way his laughter had been replaced by a grim silence. But Marcus was seduced by the shadow's promises. In the hidden corridors of the Colosseum, he sealed his pact with the unseen spectre, binding his fate to the darkness. From that moment, Marcus became an unstoppable force in the arena. His every move was imbued with a power that seemed almost supernatural. His opponents fell before him, defeated not by Marcus but by the shadow that now controlled him. Yet, as he embraced this newfound power, a darkness began to consume him, to eat away at the man he once was. He was no longer Marcus, the celebrated gladiator. He was now a vessel, a puppet manipulated by the unseen spectre that lurked in the shadows of the Colosseum. As Marcus embraced the shadow's power, he became an unstoppable force. But a darkness began to consume him. A darkness that would mark the beginning of a chilling tale, whispered among the stone walls of ancient Rome's grand amphitheatre. Audiences marveled at Marcus's newfound prowess, oblivious to the sinister pact he had made. The once vibrant gladiator, now merely a vessel for the malevolent force that controlled him, was an unstoppable force in the arena. His victories, each more spectacular than the last, were not his alone. For with every fallen opponent, the shadow grew stronger. It claimed the defeated spirits, their anguished souls becoming fuel for its insatiable hunger. Marcus was in essence a conduit, channeling the despair and fear of the fallen into the very entity that gave him his power. This was the pact, the dreadful price he had paid for his success. His triumphs were not without cost. They were purchased with the suffering and torment of others. As Marcus's legend grew, so did the whispers among the slaves and gladiators. Tales of a cursed champion, unbeatable in the arena, began to circulate. They spoke of the shadow that clung to Marcus, a chilling presence that seemed to dance on the edges of their vision, vanishing whenever they dared to confront it. These whispers, hushed and hurried, echoed through the hidden passages beneath the Colosseum, the labyrinthine corridors that housed the enslaved laborers. Their stories painted a grim picture of the champion, not as a beacon of strength and courage, but as a puppet ensnared by a sinister force. And then there were the haunting wails that filled the night. They were not the cries of men, but of spirits, of souls tormented and trapped. They told of a grotesque silhouette that fed on despair, a shadow that thrived on the fear and anguish of the defeated. These were the stories that were whispered among the stone walls and hidden corridors of the Colosseum, tales of a darkness that lurked beneath the grandeur. They were stories of a pact and a price, a chilling reminder of the cost of seeking power in the shadows. The haunting wails that filled the night spoke of a chilling presence, a grotesque silhouette feeding on despair. One fateful day, a young gladiator named Lucius dared to challenge Marcus. The air vibrated with anticipation as their swords clashed, sparks flying with every ferocious strike. Lucius, gripped by terror, glimpsed the grotesque silhouette that clung to Marcus, a shapeless void feeding on the despair of the fallen. But fear turned to resolve, and Lucius fought back with a courage he'd never known. Their battle was a dance of steel and shadow, a spectacle of raw power that shook the very foundations of the Colosseum. It was a fight not just against Marcus, but against the darkness that consumed him. In the end, it was Lucius who emerged victorious, his triumph echoing in the silence that followed. Yet victory bore a chilling undertone. As Lucius stood over Marcus's defeated form, the shadow slithered away. It left nothing but an eerie silence, hinting at its search for a fresh vessel, a new host to continue its sinister legacy.